Hello, my name is Sally and today I am with Helen, my lovely model Helen, and I'm going to do a full makeover with Helen, but I'm going to hone in on Helen's slightly sparse brows. And we're going to work on eyebrows and how to rejuvenate your brows with makeup. So what we're going to start off with is some face prime. Just take a couple of pumps up and put this all over Helen's face. So the primer is just enabling the foundation to last all day long and to fill in any open pores or fine lines. It's a wonderful base and it just does exactly what it says. It makes your skin feel like silk. I'm going to take my Continuous Cover Foundation number 2 and put a little bit on my hand. And then I am going to take my Light Look Beauty Balm and that on my hand. And then finally, one little squirt of Smooth Like Silk Face Prime. And then I am going to take my foundation brush, number 2, and mix them together on my hand. That's a really nice colour. In the winter, I often just wear the foundation on myself, and in the summer, I often just wear the Light Look Beauty Balm. But for the rest of the year, I actually mix the two together. So what we're going to do now is to use some lovely creamy concealer, cover-to-cover concealer, and we're going to use the 03 on the areas of Helen's skin where there's a few sunspots, a few age spots, and I'm going to use my concealer brush number 4. Sometimes put a little bit around my nose, just in that little area of the nose, just there's a bit of discoloration. What I'm now going to do is to set Helen's face with some really lovely translucent powder. What this will do, particularly where we have used the concealer, is it will just hold it in place a little bit more. So I'm going to use the big brush just for the up here, where we've used quite a lot. Just under the eye, it works quite well. And then what I do is take the big brush and just dust off the excess, so you're not left with obvious powdery blobs on your face. So Helen's eyebrows. If somebody has very, very sparse eyebrows or virtually no eyebrows, I would suggest doing the eyebrows before doing the whole eye area. But the first thing I will do is to use my eye prime on you. So I'm going to put the Smooth Out eye prime on first, then we'll do your brows, and then we'll do some eyeshadow. So, and I'll talk through how we do the brows. Smooth Out eye prime. So again, I take a little bit on my finger. If you just close your eyes, lovely, thank you. What I do is to take the concealer brush, which I've just cleaned out, and just smooth the product. So the secret to this product is not to put too much on, and to make sure that it goes onto clean, dry, oil-free eyes. So we're now going to work on Helen's brows before we do her eyeshadow. Now, the first thing I'm going to suggest is the spoolie brush. This is brush number 6, and it's fantastic. Now, Helen's got a couple of brows, so all I'm just going to do is just make sure that they are lying flat. You've got more on one side, which is often the case. You know, I say that brows are sisters, not twins. If you've got absolutely no brow, it's really important to know where to actually place your brows. So I tend to just use my spoolie brush to create 3 points. So my first point is from the outer corner of my nose up to my eyes, because you want the width of your brows to be the same width as the bottom of your nose, so it's symmetrical. I'm going to use Bring Back Brow Shape in Blonde. We considered whether to use the grey one or the blonde, but we think that the blonde might be quite nice on Helen. We could probably use either. So that is my starting point. Just a little dot, that's what I want. And then let's do the same on this side, just while we're here. Dot straight up. And then my end point, I want to do from the end of the corner of my nose to the corner of my eye. So actually got a little bit of hair there. This side, not quite so much, so I need to just make sure I am putting it in the right place. Just a little dot. And then for the middle, or the highest part, I tend to go from the edge of the nose through just the sort of, if you look straight at me, through the centre of the iris. So that's your highest point, just there. So this product it's a paint. It's got a little brush, and people are very frightened of this product because it's a bit different. But the secret is, first of all, to shake it. Really important to shake, it's got a ball bearing in it. Shake it first, and then take it out. And particularly with the brown one, which is darker, I always take off a little bit of excess on my hand. With the blonde one, you don't need to because it's quite a natural kind of lightish colour. I tend to start, if somebody has very little brow, I'd actually start nearer the middle of the brow rather than, and I do little, short, feathery strokes. So at the start point, I'm going to go upwards with my strokes. So if anything, a tiny bit wider. The illusion of actual hairs. And this is what you can't do with an eyebrow pencil. It's very hard to actually get it to look feathery. So what I would suggest is you start thin and you build it up to the desired width that you want to recreate. If you start with a great thick line, it's much harder then to kind of bring it down. So I'm starting thin and then I'm building it into the width that Helen wants. So it's actually quite good. If you let it totally dry, it's harder to soften it. So I would say do one and then use your spoolie brush and then do the other one. Do it as you go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just a little trick that I sometimes use with ladies is to use a tiny bit of the taupe matte eyeshadow just to give that little bit of extra oomph. Using my wedge brush, which is the one I use for eyeliner, wedge brush number 8, just to bring it a little bit more definition. So now we've got a frame to work with doing Helen's eye makeup. So we're going to go for the lightest one, which is soft grey, all over Helen's lid. It's a really pretty colour. Very natural, just gives a nice base. So I'm bringing the colour just to sort of just above the socket line, and the socket line. It's important when you're putting your base colour on to put enough eyeshadow on. A lot of ladies just put a little bit on and it goes a bit patchy. And then when they put their second colour on, there's not enough for it to actually adhere to. So I build up with the base colour and put enough on. Don't panic that you're putting lots on. I'm doing it in sort of thin layers. So I am now going to use pewter, which is a really nice sort of a purpley grey, isn't it? And I'm going to use that in the socket line. So I'm just bringing that just in the socket line. Very pretty colour. I'm just going to blend that with my blender brush now. So quite firm out to in movements. So I'm not changing the shape, I'm just softening the look. Okay, what I'm now going to do is to use Instant Bright Highlight just underneath Helen's beautiful brows that we created. That will make her brows look even more lovely and defined because it creates a little bit of contrast between the brow colour, her eyebrow colour and her brow bone. We'll just coat your lashes with a lovely, slightly darker colour. And if your eyes water, Helen says her eyes water a little bit, then the waterproof is brilliant. It shouldn't move. Okay, what I'm going to do now is to give Helen's face a little bit of colour. And because she tends to go for slightly cooler colours, I'm going to use a cool blusher, but I'm going to put the bronzer on therefore before the blusher. With a warm toned skin, I would do it the other way round. I tend to put my blusher on because I'm warmer and then put my bronzer on. So just a little bit of bronzer. Tiny bit on the jawline, a little bit on the neck, so that we don't ever have a floating face. Just give you that tiny bit of warmth. So I'm taking a little bit onto my ring, my middle finger. So just smile, that's it, and relax, lovely. Okay, we're now going to give Helen some lips. She's got beautiful shaped lips. So to stop any feathering and bleeding, we're going to use Never Feather Lip Prime, just on the outer edge of Helen's lips. So I'm going to use the beautiful mulberry colour on Helen. This is a really nice, it sort of can be used on warm or cools, but a really nice sort of rich colour. Your lipstick always looks better if you can use a lip brush. If you've got the time to do it, it will last longer. And then just on the underneath, just to define Helen's beautiful lips. And then I'm going to fill it in. Just finish off the look beautifully. Everything starts to come together, I find, when you put the lipstick on, the lipstick and the blusher. I think when you're doing your eyes and you haven't got colour on the rest of your face, it can be a bit scary when you look in the mirror. And I always say to ladies, don't panic at this point. It's not finished. It's not done. You can't gauge the look until you've finished with the lipstick, the blusher, and if you're using bronzer. So just to finish the look on Helen, we're going to use a little bit of Gorgeous Gloss Lip Shine in clear. I'm just going to put it, not all over Helen's lips, just in the centre of the top and the bottom, just to create a little bit of extra texture. Okay, so to recap, if you have no brows at all or sparse brows, really, really important to, first of all, do your brows before you put your eye makeup on, to use eye prime first before you do them, and then when you're actually finding where to put your brows, where to position them, use the tips by holding the spoolie brush in the 3 areas of your eye and put one little dot of the bring back brow, and then you basically fill in by bringing the 3 dots together. Trick with this product is to use your spoolie brush first if you've got any hairs. Obviously if you've got no hairs there, you just use it afterwards. Shake the product really well, and little fine feathery strokes just to create the perfect natural brow. Top tip is to use the spoolie brush afterwards to soften that brow. And if you need a little bit more, then either a little bit of taupe or a little bit of charcoal just over using your wedge brush number 8. The other thing to remember is it's really nice to put a little bit of Instant Bright highlight underneath your brow to create that sort of definite, really make the brow look more defined. The other thing is to think, don't panic if you think it's too dark, because until you've got the rest of your face on, if you're not used to seeing yourself with any eyebrows, it will be a bit of a shock when you first look at yourself. So kind of remember you can soften it, and when you've got your blusher and your lips and your eyeshadow and everything else on, it will look perfect. So don't panic if you think when you first put it on that it's too dark. Just give yourself enough time when you first use this product, and you'll soon find that you can do it quite quickly. And just remember also when you finish to hold your mirror at arm's length to see the overall effect.
If you love this video and would like to see more content like this, then subscribe to my channel.